Namaskar, everyone. Suprabhatam. We'll start the class with Guru Vandanam. Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam yena characharam Tatpadam darshitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to the third class of Yoga Nishta Ananda Jivana. By default, all of you are muted. In case you have any concern or you want to ask any particular question, please raise your hand and I would give you an opportunity to speak appropriately. Okay. Recap. Let's have a quick recap what we have learned in the last two sessions, because that's the foundation as we move ahead, and these concepts should stay all through your life. Because why are we here? What are we going to learn here? And what is the goal of a life? We have seen that what is it being a human? Human, that's the nature is, when we see a vast object, you are thrilled at seeing a vast object, a mountain, a sky, or a big ocean. That's the unique quality of being a human. And we have also seen that there is an infinite desire, which is a hunger for infinite within us, which we really don't know. And this is experienced when, for a momentary, when we see a huge sky or a mountain or an ocean, which we really don't realize till now. And seeing this factor, seeing this experience, so it's 15,000 or 15, lots of years back, yogis tried to build up a science behind this, and that's science of yoga was developed. We want to touch the fact that humans are not animals. We have seen various examples for that. There's a qualitative difference between humans and animals elaborately. And there's a universal search of happiness among all living beings, which is the pursuit of life, which is there in every living being, whether it's a plant, animal, or a human being. We've also touched the fact that the desire in animal is limited. It's only distant with the four Ahara, Nitra, Bhaya and Maithuna. The animal desires are only limited to these four aspects of life. But human desire goes beyond that. Human desire is endless. Even after saturating these desires, human mind still starts working day and night to achieve something more and more. Why? Because there's a qualitative difference between animals and humans. And that's the dharma of humans. That is the search of infinite, which we have never known till now. And the dharma of humans is the desire for infinite. To know, to realize, to experience the infinite which is there around us and within us. That is the dharma of humans. We've also seen that humans have a unique distinguishing factor which is called the free will, which no other living being on this planet has, which is the Swatantra Ichcha. They can decide what they want to do, what not to do. That is the unique distinguishing factor which only humans possess. And animals are bound by their dharma, that is, They do not overeat, they do not oversleep, neither they do not accumulate anything. They are content with what they have. But humans overeat, they oversleep, they accumulate. They are never content with what they have. We've also seen that no animal suffers from overweight, whereas humans, the present crushing problem is obesity, which is very prevalent and a burning issue among all humans. That's because animals are bound by their dharma. They don't surpass their dharma. But humans have a dharma, which is a desire for infinite, and they don't realize the way how to realize it. So they try to fill the infinite with finite things. So they try to accumulate, they try to overeat, they try to oversleep. And everything is just to fulfill the infinite desire which they have within them, which they don't realize. An analogy was referred in the previous classes. It's like a baby putting its thumb, not knowing that it has a hunger within, and it tries to fulfill its hunger by sucking the thumb. Though, momentarily, that might give relief for the baby, but in truth, that is never going to fulfill the hunger which the baby has. In the same way, we are trying to fulfill that infinite desire within us with accumulating wealth, things, houses, whatnot. So let's realize what is that infinite desire in us, and let's find a way to fill up that infinite desire with the infinite which is around us and everywhere around us. That tells us that is, we need to be human from inside and outside. Animals are animals from inside and animals from outside. We have seen that Darwinian policy, the theory of Darwinian theory showed that we have evolved from animals. So we still have a dharma of animal dharma within us. And there's always a conflict within us because we have taken a human form. But as we have evolved from animals, we still hold the animal dharma within us. So there's always a fight between these two dharmas, either a human dharma or an animal dharma. It's easy to slide back into animal dharma because that's the dharma we have lived for so many centuries of years. And human birth is a very new birth where you're given a new dharma of knowing the infinite. But we have a distinguishing factor called the free will, which we can exercise to be a human from outside as well as inside. And that's what yoga teaches us, how to be a human from outside as well as inside. We've also touched on the fact of entropy and enthalpy. Entropy is randomness and enthalpy is the energy. Nature has its, by default, nature tends to go towards maximum randomness and minimum energy, that is maximum entropy and minimum enthalpy. We've seen the example of a classroom where there's no teacher and all the children are here and there in a random positions. But the moment the teacher enters the classroom, the children are seated in their places with attention. So there's an effort, an enthalpy by the teacher which is performed to get to minimum entropy, that is minimum randomness. In the same way, the universe is not random. It's not scattered here and there. Everything is so organized, so disciplined, The sun rises in the east every day. They don't find the sun rising in the west another day. And it sets in the west. Nature blooms at the right time. Seasons are exactly at the same time. How is this happening? Is it just by randomness? No. We've also seen that the example of the room. Scattered things in the room where everything is out of their place. We've also seen that a room which is neatly organized and things are placed in their places. Though we don't see the person there in the room, we realize that there has been someone in the room who has set all the things in their particular places. In the same way, in the same manner, this universe is being organized, disciplined. There's something called consciousness. That's nothing but Purusha. And this cosmic order tells that there is this Purusha, the Parama Purusha, who is just running the whole show, or the consciousness which is just around us, which we don't realize. It's time we wake up and realize this consciousness, the power of knowing the bliss, which is just around us and within us too. And yoga is a way to yoga. We've already discussed yoga means union. Union of what? Union of the finite with the infinite. The finite I, that is the I feeling what we have all of us, to the cosmic I. Yoga helps to obey, it's a mechanism and a science which is developed, which really helps with practices, methods, and way of living. And this you've also seen. Sadhana or meditation is an effort which helps you to feel the experience of the union of the finite with the infinite. Also, Ananda, we have seen Ananda is different to Sukha. Sukha is fleeting and it is temporary. Ananda is the bliss, which is a continuous flow of happiness. It cannot be told as happiness. It is a bliss which is an extreme happiness which is nitya and it is always present. And it is not with experience with things, objects or anything around us. And that is called anubhuti. A person or yogi experiences this ananda and he lives in this anubhuti every minute of his life and is so content that he doesn't need any of these material things around him to fill this desire for infinite. The finite, the desire for the infinite is filled with ananda, and that's what is the pursuit of humans, every living being. So yoga helps us to reach this infinite bliss, ananda, and live in this anubhuti. So that was a quick recap of what all we have learned and we have gone through in the last two classes. So let's start our class today. We've spoken so much about yoga. What yoga really means. Yoga is beyond the mat. That is very, very important, which many yoga schools don't teach us. Yoga has become very popular around the world, but it's often misunderstood. There are a lot of yoga studios in every city, every nook and corner, and millions of people are practicing yoga every day. But surprisingly, many still don't know really what yoga means. Yoga is just not about asanas or physical postures. I don't deny asanas are not important. Those are an important part of yogic path. Yes, they are. But they are just one step on a much bigger journey of yoga. They are just a part of this yogic life. The heart of yoga lies in the union. The word yoga signifies yuj. It has come from a dhatu called yuj. Yuj means union. And we have learned that union of the finite with the infinite. That's the true meaning of yoga. It's easy to think we are just stretching our body or strengthening our body, but yoga. But every breath, every moment of awareness is an invitation that we should remember about the larger purpose of life. Yoga is not something we do, but something we live. That is to say, it's reflected in how we speak, how we treat others, how you breathe, how you meet life's moments and awareness with compassion. It's a holistic way of living. It just doesn't end at the mat. It is beyond the mat. That's what yoga truly points to. The practices, the postures, the breathing, the meditation, all of these are meant to help us move towards the experience of oneness. This is the important concept, and I'm sure that all of us are clear by now. What yoga actually means is the union of finite with the infinite, and it's a way of living. Yoga is a science in total. So what exactly I say living in yoga? Yoga is just not words. Living the truth of yoga. What is it about? Think about it. We are born, we die. We know how tall we are. We can see the limits of our body. We know where it begins, where it ends. In this ordinary worldly sense, we all feel finite in a typical sense. We have a name attached to our existence, like Ram or Sham, Sita or Geeta. And imagine Ram or Sham goes to a store to buy something. Ram thinks he's at the store only when he gets there. He exists only at a particular time or a particular place and a particular moment. Physically, we have a size, we have a beginning and an end. And we know that we feel my body occupies a particular space. All these are measures. We feel confined to a place, a time, a form, and we feel finite. But are we finite or infinite? We just feel we are finite, just because our body limits our expansion. We are only confining our existence with the limits of this body. But in true sense, we are the infinite, which is deep within us, which we have not known till now. Yoga says we are truly infinite. It's just that we feel finite. The finite sense of ourselves, the name, the body, the location, the beginning and the end. is part of a human experience, but it's not the whole story. This is where the true teaching comes into picture. Aham Brahmasmi is not just words. I am Brahman. I am that infinite being. There's an immense difference between merely saying these words and actually becoming their meaning. Reading them, memorizing them, or reciting them is one thing. Realizing them in the depths of your being is something entirely different. The difference is between night and day. Aham Brahmasmi is just not a phrase to repeat. It's an awakening to dissolve your finite in the infinite. It's just not about speaking the words, but knowing the truth, the whole goal of human life. We get these glimpses of this in our life. Aham Brahmasmi, I'm the finite. Like what? When we see a huge sky, or a motion, or a horizon, or a sunset, or a towering mountain, or a huge waterfall, something stirs in us. There's a thrill, an excitement, a sense of greatness that resonates within us. We've also seen there's a chill in the spine when we see those places or we visit those huge places. That's because we are knowingly or unknowingly drawn towards the vastness. And that distinguishes, and that is what says human beings are different. And we are just not finite. We are infinite in the deep course of ourselves. And these arise a feeling of greatness, of big vastness, which is already there within us. These are all momentary experiences when we see with the eye. But the yogi seeks to become the meaning of this sentence, Aham Brahmasmi, by realizing and becoming that infinite within him. Yoga is just not about witnessing the infinite outside. It's about realizing and becoming the infinite within. This is a profound difference between simply reading or reciting a sacred sentence and truly living its meaning. That's what is the real truth of yoga. So I'd like to pause for a minute, and I would like to listen from one of you what we have read, understood till now. Lakshmi Bhagini, I'll just unmute you.
Yeah, first we record what we did in the previous classes, and then
you can give a detailed explanation also. I would appreciate that.
Last one at this class. I'm going through this class.
Yes, this class, Bhagini.
Yeah.
You can.
Yoga is from the root word yuj, which means that it's the union of the finite with the infinite. But most people think that yoga is asanas as it is propagated in the West or even in India. But it's not that, but it is something we adopt in life and make it as a part of our life. Our physical measures are almost similar for all of us, but the measurements are different. We are all born, we live and disappear, and the body goes away. So we think we are finite, but we are truly infinite, and our goal in life is to practice yoga, which is asanas, meditation, ahara, and through sadhana, and become truly infinite. Our goal in life is to realize that Aham Brahmasmi. Then we are awakened at that time, and we experience infinite ananda or bliss. We become happy when we see a huge mountain or a big natural thing, and we get a glimpse of the infinite, but that's not infinite. We want to experience something more than that, and yoga is the part of that, to realize the infinite in us. Yoga is something, this is just my own contribution. What Khalil Gibran says, that the river trembles before the merging with the ocean. It doesn't know what is beyond it, and it has lot of conflicts with it, but it knows that is the infinite truth. So it goes ahead and merges with the ocean and becomes the ocean. That's what we should be. We know there is Param Purusha, and he is infinite, who is the cause of this cosmic evolution and the universe. So we are part of it, and through yoga we realize and become one with consciousness and become infinite. This is my understanding.
That was wonderful, Sadhana. Thank you so much. I'll just put everyone in. Yeah, the sense of yoga, what you said is exactly right. It's knowing, it's living the feeling, or experiences the feeling of Aham Brahmasmi. That is what it is. And another thing to let you know, that these vast things in the universe, a huge mountain, just give you a glimpse of the vastness within us. They are temporary, they are fleeting, they are not permanent. That's the reason people always go on trips. That's the reason they just want to experience that feeling of thrill, and they cannot describe. You come back after a trip and say, wow, it was so beautiful. So what made it beautiful? That's because the vastness is what you are just getting a glimpse. It's like a screenshot of what you have inside. So when you come in contact with that vastness outside, something in you arises, and you try to realize that there is something which is making that feeling, and that's what is yoga. So those are just giving a glimpse of the vastness within you. But thank you so much, Lakshmi Bhagini. You are done a great job. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll move ahead from here. We're going to touch a new topic called the science of mind. When we say a yogi seeks to become the meaning of Aham Brahmasmi, what do we actually mean? I've spoken about that. We have to live in the meaning, we have to live in the experience of Aham Brahmasmi rather than reciting those words or just uttering them or reciting them. How does this happen? What does it really mean to become the meaning of that statement? Yoga is just not philosophy, it's a science. And within yoga, there's this entire science of mind, which we will explore in depth. As an introduction to the science of mind, Let me introduce this very new concept. As one thinks, so one becomes. We have heard this in Sanskrit also, many of you. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. As one thinks, one becomes. The fact is that mind does not have a shape of its own. The brain has a shape and mind does not. What do you mean? What's the difference between the brain and the mind? Many people fail to tell the difference between the brain and the mind, but there's a huge difference. Brain is a physical organ which is measurable and observable. But the mind is the software which is running on the brain's hardware. It's just like a system software running on the computer. Similarly, we can see the computer, but we cannot see the software. In the same way, brain is the hardware and the software which runs in the brain is the mind, which we cannot see. But the brain is measurable and it is limited. But the mind is malleable, shapeable, and it's changeable. And it can extend miles and miles. In a minute, you can travel from here to America. And a minute, you can travel from America to India. That's the capacity of mind. We'll be talking about mind a lot more in our forthcoming lectures. But for now, I would like to put this concept before that the mind does not have a fixed shape. As one thinks, so one becomes. What we directly think shapes us, what we are, who we are. If someone constantly thinks about money, the mind becomes crudified just like money. Money is a crude object. And mind is bound by the thoughts. Our likes and dislikes, our attractions and repulsions reflect the state of the mind at that moment, what you are thinking at that moment. For example, some people are drawn to alcohol or weekend parties and discotheques. Some people like to have do a hiking in the mountains or enjoy the quietness of nature. These preferences reveal the mind state. But the mind is not static. This state is not permanent. To state an example, a person at 21 years might be enjoying parties. But after 10 years or 5 years, you might see him seeking yogic life and solitude and knowing the true purpose of human life. What has changed in him? He's the same person, the same years, same face, everything. But the mind which is present in him has changed predominantly in a very major scale, that his life has changed totally to find out the real purpose of life. And it reflects the status of their mind. And this is not a static state. The mind is immensely flexible. You are not a passive participant in this process. In the sense, animals' mind's capacity is very limited. They cannot think beyond food, sleep, Ahara and Maithuna. But you have the ability to choose what you can think about. You can decide what you want to read. You can decide what you can think. And depending upon what you choose and think about, your mind transforms. So, as one thinks, So one becomes. The mind changes based upon what one thinks about. And one can choose what one is going to think about. That's the power of science of mind. And if someone spends all their time focused on stock market or something else or buying things, their mind becomes entangled in that crude energy which is restless and materialistic. If someone contemplates on the beauty of the sky or the ocean, the mind becomes subtle and expansive. You can feel that. When you go to an ocean, your mind just expands because you're seeing the ocean, and that expansion is what is felt in your mind. And imagine if one thinks about the infinite, that mind becomes infinite. The mind just mirrors the objects of our attention. What you give attention is what mind becomes. And if we dwell on the subtle, the infinite, the mind becomes infinite. This is a starting point for a yogi, learning to direct the mind towards the infinite, so that one can truly experience the Aham Brahmasmi. And how? How is this done? This is the heart of what it means to do sadhana, yoga sadhana. Sadhana means effort, the conscious effort to tune yourself to the infinite. Take for example, you have a Wi-Fi at home and you have a phone. Your phone does not immediately connect to the Wi-Fi. You have to tune in to the Wi-Fi's network, the password, your internet connection, everything is done only after tuning your phone to the Wi-Fi. In the same way, sadhana is a process of aligning your internal frequency with the cosmic order of existence. When the tuning is right, you become one with the infinite and experience the ananda anubhuti, the bliss of oneness. And that is what is yoga. So, talking about sadhana and tuning to the infinite, sadhana is a conscious effort to tune yourself, to place your mind on the infinite. As we have discussed earlier, mind is what? What you think is what you become. So sadhana means effort. This is the heart of yoga. A conscious, dedicated effort. And when you tune yourself with Sadhananga, we'll come to Sadhananga soon, you can feel the infinite. You might say that, why is it called just sadhana? Any sadhana, for example, you learn music or you have a qualifier for it, saying that Sangeeta sadhana, Nritya sadhana or Vyakarana sadhana. But when we speak of sadhana without any qualifier, it just refers to yoga sadhana or adhyatmic sadhana, an inner practice which is aimed to identify yourself with the infinite. How do we do this? How does one do this? The way of yoga sadhana is to dedicate the mind and contemplate on the mind. And this is where the practice comes into picture. As one thinks, so one becomes. By continuously focusing the mind on the infinite, the mind gradually takes the qualities of the infinite, and the yogi moves closer to realizing the Aham Brahmasmi. This is the essence, this is the bija, this is the seed, this is the central point of yogic life. And the yogi dwells in Aham Brahmasmi. That's about sadhana and the science of mind. I would like to pause here for a minute, and Ram Mohodaya, can you please brief out what you've understood till now? Are you able to listen? You're unmuted. You can speak. Hari Om. Is my voice audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Or else Rama Bala Bhagini, I am not sure. You can just unmute yourself and you can just.
Namaskaram Bhagini.
Namaskaram.
What I understand is the science of mind is yoga is the entire science of mind. The brain is only a physical organ which can measure, but mind is what which takes its shape, and it is bound by thoughts. The mind is flexible, and sadhana is a conscious effort, and the mind just mirrors the objects that are observed. That is, for a long time, if we see something, then we'll be able to concentrate on that, and then the effort is put on that. It's a conscious, dedicated effort, and it is thinking on the infinite. And dedicating mind means thinking on the infinite. I don't know whether I said it correctly, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Bhagini. I'll just mute everyone. Yes, you. Thank you so much, Ramabala Bhagini. You've really listed out all the points. But there's one point: is sadhana is an important way where you can tune your mind to live in the infinite. And as the mind, as we think, is what you become. So the moment you start thinking about the infinite, you can experience the feeling of Aham Brahmasmi. That is a constant, continuous feeling of Aham Brahmasmi. And the mind is very flexible and malleable. So what you think is what you become. So we need to choose judiciously what we want to think and where we have to put our mind on. That's what a yogi decides. The first step of life starts. What I need to put my effort on, my thought on, is the first step of sadhana. If you're involved in a lot of material things in and around, your mind goes very unstable. You can just not sit for sadhana or trying to focus your mind on the infinite. Right? So we learn about the mind and how the power of mind, what exactly, there's so much about the mind, because that's what needs to be known and find out. So we'll go ahead in that in a forthcoming lecture. So for now, We've told that yogi dwells in sadhana. What makes a person a yogi? What makes someone a yogi? A yogi is someone in whom the practice of yoga is ongoing. It's an active engagement in yogic life. The word yogi is not defined by clothing or by living in an ashram or by residing in a particular city, whether it's New York, India, or anywhere. All these external things have nothing to do being a yogi. The word yogi comes from a Sanskrit word called yogin. It's a pratipadikam. Asya asmin astiva is the meaning. That is, a person saying a yogi is one who has the life of a yogi in him. That is, a yogi has an active engagement in his yogic life. A life dedicated to science of the mind and the practice of yoga. And as we have discussed, as one thinks, one becomes. If the mind dwells on infinite, it gradually aligns with the infinite. It's a systematic practice of training the mind. But the control of mind is not easy. It's often compared with a monkey which is very restless, or a 2 or 3-year-old child. For example, I say, Ram, sit here, to a kid, 3-year-old kid. Do you think he'll stay there? No. The mind is just like that, restless, wandering, and doesn't know what it wants. So while we may say that the mind should focus on the infinite, that's where the real challenge comes. How do we do that? And we have told that yoga is a practical science. It's a practice. It's just not theory or philosophy. It's a systematic practice of training the mind to become what it contemplates. So yoga is a practical science. So how do we get the mind on the infinite? What are the challenges on this yogic path? As we have seen, the mind is like a 3-year-old kid or we are talking about the challenges on the yogic path. And we have seen that yoga is a practical science. And this is applied in every action, every thought, every moment of our life. Yoga is not separate from life. It is life. And it is practiced consciously at all times. The mind's concentration on the infinite is the true goal of human life. That's what it is, the desire for the infinite. Most people are, however, unaware about this. We have also discussed this with the baby sucking its thumb, not knowing what it exactly wants. Only the persons whose inner eyes open up and they direct their minds in a concentrated way towards the infinite start to move in the direction. Yet, this path is not without obstacles. There is sangharsha, there is struggle, there is challenge. And a yogi welcomes this struggle as part of the journey. Why sangharsha? Why this friction? Let's take an example of a frozen lake. For example, imagine yourself standing on a frozen lake and you want to walk on the frozen lake. what would the most probable thing you think that can happen? You will slide. You won't be able to walk properly because the surface is slippery. Why? Why is it you're sliding? Because there is no traction or a friction. Nothing for your feet to push against. When you put your foot on the frozen lake, there is no friction. Friction is something which gives resistance to move forward. That's what it is. When you walk on a land, you would slide if there's no friction. Imagine there's a huge pot of oil which just dropped on the floor, and you try to walk on the oil. You cannot walk. You will just slip. That's because oil does not give you friction. It removes the friction. In the same way, in life, whether it's physical or spiritual, we need friction or resistance or struggle or sangharsha to move forward. It is this very resistance that gives us traction and helps us to grow. Without challenges, there is no movement. And without sangharsha, there is no evolution. We have seen in the Darwinian philosophy also. The struggle for existence has moved the species to grow ahead. A giraffe with a long neck is very improportionate with its body. That's because it tried to live, a sangharsha to live, to survive happened within it. And that's when it tried to reach the leaves quite high. And the sangharsha has allowed it a change in its body structure. So that's the reason it has a long neck, which is quite not in proportion with its body. So every sangharsha is for the moment. This is inevitable for a yogi life, and this has to be welcomed naturally. Struggle is not a barrier. It's the bridge to infinite. Focusing the mind on the infinite is not easy, especially at the beginning. As we have seen, the mind is like a 3-year-old kid, restless, always moving, never still. This is natural, and this is a part of practice. The key is that while the struggle is inevitable, it is also manageable. There are techniques and methods in yoga which help the mind settle and concentrate, and these are what we will learn soon. And this struggle can be overcome with the struggle to do sadhana is what is the prime importance of a yogic in the yogic life. So we have Sadhananga, which help us to do sadhana, which is going to overcome the struggle of doing the sadhana. Sadhana and Sadhananga, the foundation of yogic practice. Sadhana is the core practice which we have seen, and we have Sadhananga also along with it. What are Sadhananga? Sadhananga are the supporting practices or the auxiliary practices that create a conducive environment for the mind. For example, yogasanas, pranayama, a proper diet, ethical conduct, and cleansing techniques. These are the angas which help you to create the environment. Their role is to prepare the body and mind for sustained concentration which is required in sadhana. You can say that Sadhanangas are the sacred soil in which the yogi takes root and blossoms. Sadhanangas are very crucial as this is the environment which carves the yogi in you. Body is the home of the mind. We have seen about mind in brief the few slides earlier. And we know that mind resides in the body. So body is the home of the mind. Just like we live in a house, an apartment, or any other dwelling, the environment you live shapes our well-being and comfort. In the same way, the mind which resides in the body is the environment of the body which profoundly affects the mind function. Imagine if you're sick, suffering, and with disease. Is your mind happy or healthy? No, because the environment is not supportive. This states that we need to cultivate a body that is very conducive or anukula for our inner growth and an ability to engage in sadhana. So, a healthy body is essential for a focused and concentrated mind. But health alone is not important. The body must be in harmony, well synchronized, and all glands should be working in balance. We also see the role of vibration quality, that is spandana. Everything in this universe has a vibration, including the body. The body has a certain vibration which we may perceive or not. And everything in this world is spandanatmaka. We can measure this. For example, listening to music. There's a vibration which is created in you when you listen to the music. We can tell what frequency the song is in, what the raga it is, what scale of frequency it is in. In the same way, everything in this universe has a frequency, has a vibration. A stone, wood, tree, everything has a vibration. And the body also has a vibration. We need to transform the body for meditation and make the body a conducive host for the mind. When we engage in yogic practices like asanas or sattvic diet, it becomes more conducive for yogic life. In essence, these practices transform the body into a supportive host for the mind, creating an environment for the internal journey. Yogasanas are just one example of these supporting practices or sadhananga. There are many others which we will see in the forthcoming lectures, which will help us the mind to settle down, concentrate, and ultimately connect to the infinite. The true purpose of yogasanas. Practicing yogasanas and performing thousands of poses or mastering an asana is often emphasized as hatha yoga. But a sadhaka does not need these thousands of asanas. That is not the goal of life. And especially hatha yoga involves in a very twisty and tangly kinds of exercises, and hardly anyone can do it. But that's not the goal. The goal is not to show physical flexibility doing things. The purpose of yogasanas is to apply proper pressure and support to specific glands in the body, which help regulate the mind and its activities. In essence, asanas create a conducive environment for the mind, clarity, and balance. We go ahead with only few of the asanas which are important for a sadhaka to practice a yogic practice. And the asanas activate the glands and help them function properly. And also, they activate the glands which secrete the hormones. What are hormones in the body? Just a brief intro about that. Hormones are something which create harmony in your body. When there's lack of hormones, your body loses the harmony. That's when diseases creep in. So the asanas which we are going to work on are only going to activate the glands, keep them healthy, so that it becomes a conducive environment and it gives you harmony and balance in the body. If asanas are only taken in isolation and nothing of these other sadhanangas are practiced, the true purpose of yoga is lost. We have seen that. So yogasanas are an integrated part of the holistic yogic practice. When you do yogasanas, the body is in a well-balanced state and there is shant in the body. For example, you've seen that people cannot sit for 5 minutes, or there's someone who has physical limitations which affect their body to move freely. Yogasanas bring a balance and a harmonious state to the body. And with this, the mind gets a conducive environment for sadhana and to go ahead. Yoga is ultimately about the union of the finite to the infinite. Therefore, the body, which is the home for the mind, is crucial for this transformative journey. A journey nurturing not just a healthy body, but a calm and a stable mind. And living yoga, it's beyond theory. It's just not theory. It has to be practiced. As I said earlier, yoga is a practical science and it is just not theory. And learning this practice is very crucial because this is going to help us in the sadhana, these asanas, meditation, food habits, everything. So with asanas, what is it, the ultimate goal? Asanas are not just reducing your weight or getting active. The ultimate goal of asanas is to have a conducive environment so that you can proceed with your sadhana. That is one part of sadhananga, that is yogasanas. The other parts of yogic practice, the very important yogic practice is, we'll get into asanas a bit later. But for now, let us know what are all the sadhanangas which are going to help us in this yogic life. So other parts of yogic practice is the food. What is food? Very little attention is given to food by many who practice yoga. Food is always neglected and it is not given due attention, despite its fundamental role in everyone's life. However, for a sadhaka, one dedicated in spiritual practice, food plays a vital role as it directly affects physical health, mental clarity, and for spiritual growth. Proper diet supports discipline, meditation, and overall balance for a sadhaka. So let us explore in detail what is food. Food is fuel for the body, a fuel which is required to keep it alert, active, and healthy. For a sadhaka, however, food holds an even important place because the body and mind are the instruments for spiritual practice. And that's very important because food is what makes you. Food, there are two aspects or two levels of the food which I can say. One is the gross part and one is the subtle part. Two levels of food. What is this gross part? The gross part is the sthula, that is the sthula in the sense what we see. The gross part which helps in the nutrients, required nutrients for the body and for the growth of the body. That is what we see. But it is a sukshma part of the food which affects the mind, emotions, and energy. This sukshma part is what we say which gives you immunity. What is it which is giving you immunity? It gives you resistance to illness and all the activity you're able to perform. This is the sukshma part because it's the energy part which is not seen. Therefore, mindful eating is very essential for a yogi, for a sadhaka, for maintaining the body and mind in harmony and to go ahead in the path of sadhana. Let us get into a bit of biology because we all have a system which in us which many of us are unaware about. The mind-gut connection. We all say that we're only concerned the moment we take food. We really don't know what's happening. There's a huge factory which is running inside us, which does all these activities to give us the required energy. And that's the mind-gut axis. This mind-gut axis, I'll not go into depth, I'll just briefly touch because this is very important to understand why food is very important for a sadhaka, because food plays a very important role on the mind. The intestine has a lot of bacteria called microbiome, which is a healthy bacteria. The gut bacteria gives you chemical neurotransmitters to the brain. The moment you eat some food, the sukshma part of the food is sent as chemical messengers to the brain. It regulates for mood regulation, anxiety, and overall stability. For example, you eat a lot. I'll explain that on that. For example, you eat a very heavy meal and you feel the discomfort, the nausea and indigestion. Are you still happy? No. Your mind is irritated, your anxiety, there's a lot of stress. So how is the food taken in your stomach affecting the mind? So there's a connection. There's a connection between the gut and the brain. So healthy food, for example, you take fruits or juices. It gives you a feeling of mental clarity. You feel fresh. You feel energetic. Because the gut sends a signal to the brain saying that the food is extremely energetic and I'm very happy. Similarly, there's a two-way connection. It's a two-way connection. For example, the brain-gut connection. If I take a brain-gut connection, if you're in stress or anxiety, you have an exam coming up, you feel nausea, you feel stomach cramps, where many kids face this. I guess all of us have gone through. We don't feel hungry before an exam. That's because the brain is under stress. If the brain is stressed, why should you not feel hungry? That's because there's a connection between the brain and the gut. There's an excitement or a fear which gives butterflies in your stomach. Why? The stress is in the brain but not in the stomach. So this says there's a brain and gut connection. So the gut sends signals to the brain. It's a two-way communication. The gut sends to the brain and the brain sends to the gut. And we've also heard that when you sit for meditation and you do relaxation techniques, you have a very happy meal, you feel hungry, and there's a state of mental well-being in the body. So understanding this link is very, very important for a sadhaka, because people don't realize. They just fill our stomachs with all the unnecessary food available in the market. And it creates an impact on the mind, which we are unconscious about it. And this tells us this mindful eating is very, very important for a calm, focused, and a balanced mind. And as stated by Hippocrates, all diseases begin in the gut. We'll see more about this in the next lecture because it's a huge topic. Okay? And gut is also called the second brain. Why is it called the second brain? Which you can see in the picture. The mental health is a two-way connection. If you're happy, you're excited, you're really pleasant, and you're in a very good state, you have a healthy gut. You can see the healthy gut here. And when you have a healthy gut, the healthy gut produces the probiotic bacteria, which is a healthy bacteria. And this in turn sends a signal. This in turn sends a signal to the brain. So it's a continuous process, and it's two-way process. So the food, what we take, is very, very important for a sadhaka. A peaceful gut creates a peaceful mind, and a peaceful mind supports a healthy gut. So, according to yoga, what are the types of food we should follow in yogic science? Every food carries some energy quality, and that's a guna of every food, or you can say the subtle nature of the food which it gives to the body or to the person. It influences the body and also the mind. The guna influences the mind. The three types of food which we predominantly know, that's the sattvic food, rajasic food, and the tamasic food. So we'll learn more about sattvic, rajasic, tamasic foods in the next lecture, but for now, to do as a homework for all of you, try to find out what sort of foods are you taking. If you take a sattvic food, the digestion time is 2 to 4 hours only. Your mind is calm and clear, and your body is light and energetic. If you take rajasic food, the digestion time is 4 to 6 hours. Your mind gets restless, anxious, and the body is slightly heavy. And the worst of all is the tamasic food, which takes 6 to 8 hours, 8+ hours, and your body, your mind is dull and slow, and the body has become sluggish, and there's a lot of inertia. So what food do we choose? We need to choose judiciously. Which is the right food? Which is the wrong food? This is a core part of yogic lifestyle. And this plays a very important role for a sadhaka. What type of foods do you choose? Sattvic foods, rajasic foods, or tamasic foods? And what is the right food? How do we decide it's the right food? What is the wrong food? You see all this in our next class, class 4, a very important class, and it's an exclusive class on yogic food, discussing the pros and cons of all types of food and what is the food suitable for a yogi to go on a sadhana, to perform, to sit in sadhana, to feel the infinite. What food is going to support him? So I would like all of you to take it as a homework and find out what foods are you taking daily. Probably we can discuss about it in the next class and try to be a self-judge for yourself. Is the food right or wrong? And to close it on a lighter note, it says wrong food is 2 minutes on the lips and it's 20 years on the hips. It's on a lighter note. So it builds up, this wrong food builds up fat in the body, and there's a lot of weight gain, which will not be a conducive environment for sadhana. It gives you all the pleasures for the 2 minutes, aroma, taste, senses. Your senses are rewarded instantly with dopamine. But this only happens, if you can realize, this happens only for the first bite. But after some time, the taste doesn't linger much. That's because of the dopamine hormone. But this wrong food is only for temporary gratification, but it's on a long term harmful. So having said that, let's explore what is right food, what is wrong food, and are we taking the right food or the wrong food, and how do we change our food habits so that we pursue our yogic lifestyle, a sadhana, a journey to know ourselves. The summary, what we have discussed today is, we have seen yoga is just not confined to the mat, it's beyond the mat. We have seen the power and science of mind. The science is very malleable, changeable, and it has an immense flexibility, because what you think is what you become. And we have also seen sadhana is a way to concentrate your mind on the infinite. And what makes a yogi? A yogi is a person who lives in the yogic lifestyle. And what are the challenges on yogic path? A lot of challenges which the mind is restless, and we are here to help you with the sadhanangas, to help you to go ahead in the yogic path. The sadhana and sadhanangas, we have seen one sadhananga, that is asanas. We'll see one of them in the next class, that is food, which is a way to make a conducive environment for the body to host the mind. And we are also seeing what's the true purpose of yogasanas. And the most important, what is food? Food is fuel for the body. Just like a car, you don't fill up with any junk oil. You take all the precaution to get the best of oils to move it running. A similar way, take extreme precaution for this body to run perfectly without any breakage. So let's explore this further in our next class, and I would suggest that all of you try to be there for the next class, because it's a very important class, and we are going to discuss a lot of aspects about exclusively for food. I know there'll be a lot of doubts and questions from all of you. So the reason I have placed one whole class for food and discussing about the pros and cons about each aspect of food, so that we are clear what to take and what not to take. Okay, so I would like to take a stop here, and you have any questions or anything to ask, or I can wrap up this session. You're free to ask now. So I presume no questions. I'll go ahead with the gratitude mantra. The next class is on 31st October. The journey of Yoganishta Ananda Jivanam continues. And the class 4 is a very important class. Please don't miss the class. Try to be there, and food for yogic life. With this, I pray with gratitude to all my gurus, stating that everything of mine, everything what I've been receiving is his offering. Tava dravyam jagat guru tubhyameva samarpaye. Om Gurubhyo Namaha. Dhanyavadah, everyone, and thank you so much. Dhanyavadah. Thank you.
Dhanyavadah.
Thank you very much.
Dhanyavadah, Bhagini. Brinda Bhagini, you have a question? I see your hand risen.
Namaste Bhagini, thank you for giving me the opportunity. It's regarding the previous class, the entropy and enthalpy. Today when you were summarizing it, you said entropy is randomness and that enthalpy is an energy.
Yes.
Is entropy not an energy then?
Entropy is the randomness in the nature. Entropy is the amount of randomness which is in nature. That is by default. I just mute everyone. Yeah, I'm just unmuting you. It's basically the randomness. If you leave something, we discussed this example of perfume bottle. If it is, I just mute you for a minute, Bhagini. Just a second.
Yes.
Yeah, we have seen the example of the perfume bottle. When you take effort to fill up the perfume bottle and leave it in with the lid, it's tightly packed. The moment you open the perfume bottle, all the perfume atoms start spreading randomly in the nature. That is a default state of the universe. Maximum entropy, that is maximum randomness. And that's the reason when you open the perfume bottle, the perfume atoms just spread in the sky and the air around you. That's less energy. When you're putting energy and trying to force them and put them in the bottle, you're putting an effort to place them into order. So the default nature is always randomness with less energy. But if you have to have a discipline in the nature, you need less randomness and more of energy to do things or to place things in order. Okay, so are you clear on it, or you still have some doubt?
Yes. Now it's clear. The thing is, it's less energy.
Yes, less energy and high randomness is a default state. You can find it's your nature also. We get into randomness if there's no one to look at, no one to control us. We leave everything here and there. But if your mother or father comes and yells at you, you get your things back into place. So there's an energy. You get that?
Yes. So it means if we leave something unattended for a long duration of time, then there is an interference naturally that happens to create some randomness and to bring about. Is it to bring about balance?
No, it's that's a natural state of the universe. But it's just a natural state of the universe. And if you see, the universe is so well organized and disciplined. So it says there's someone behind it which is doing that every day and every minute. So that's what helps us to know that there is a Purusha or a consciousness which is working every minute of a life to put these things into order. Right?
Yes. Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Dhanyavadah everyone. Thank you so much.
Dhanyavadah.
Thank you so much. Dhanyavadah everyone.